Hey, how's it going? It's Neil Parfit here. Welcome to video number 17 of getting started with the ER-301 sound computer. Kind of excited about this one because I sort of stumbled upon it by accident. And you know when you figure out something and you're like, oh man, why didn't I do that a month ago? That's sort of one of these things for me. And I just sort of sat back here and I was like, man, this is actually kind of cool. So I'm going to show you two different things. If you can look on our channel 1 here, you notice we have a different amount of mixers here. I think there's 4 of them that are labeled V1, V2, V3, V4. And I'll just show you the first one. If we go into it, we have a custom unit, one custom CV control, or one CV control, a gate, and a volt per octave. And if we go within this custom unit, we have a basic sine wave, and our pitch is being controlled by that custom unit volt control. The level is being triggered by that gate signal, which is triggering an ADSR. And if we look on our attack and our release, that CV1 is adjusting both of those. So basically it's my roundabout way of saying, if I play my keyboard, I have a tone. And if I up my mod wheel, it's a little bit longer in its shape. And I forgot to mention, it sounds kind of crappy because after this custom unit, I have a quantizer just to make it gungy. And it purposely sounds bad on purpose, and I'll show you why in a minute. It'll all become, my grand scheme will become clear. So if I unsolo this, basically I've made 3 additional copies of that mixer and just reassigned the external CV. With the result being, using my Vermona QMI, is we have a polyphonic synth, which is pretty cool. Or if I was really happy about it, I'd be like, oh man, Poly and Eurorack? Whatever. And of course, if I up my mod wheel, it's going to control all 4 of these oscillators. Right, so we have our synth. So let's just forget about the guts of that for a second. And let's go to our channel 2. And I have a looper here. And I basically have a stupid rhythm that I made on my computer. And I bounced it out. It's a perfect 16 measure loop at 135 BPM. And let's engage it. Sort of sounds like a bad polka. But it will all make sense in a minute, trust me. So we have our looper, which is cool. But let's look at the controls. My reset is set to out 4. So let's take a look and see what's happening on channel 4. I actually have another audio file here. And if we zoomed in far enough, there's just a spike right at the start of it. And it's also 16 measures long. So what that means is we can actually use this signal as a reset. And here's the waveform. I'll zoom in a little bit. There it is. And because that resets on channel 4, that means I could send a whole bunch of stuff that reset signal. So let's go back to our number 2. I'm going to back out of this looper. And notice I have more mixers here. Let's go into this one. I have another looper here that's been running this entire time. And what I didn't tell you was that it's just been cycling a recording this entire time. So what that means is we can have multiple synchronized loopers, each with their own buffer. So if you add more than one of these loopers synchronized together, we sort of have multi-track recording. So let's try that. I'm just going to wait for this to work its way to the end. Here we go. So now if I play, the looper isn't punched in anymore, so it's not going to pass signal because I have my dub at 1, and I also have my wet at 1 as well. So let's go to our track 2, which is basically the same thing with a different audio buffer. So now if I play this, this is technically my track 2. So there's my track 2, right? And you could just keep going. So I've made one more of these. And I'll punch into this. They're all being fed the same source. They're all being fed out 1, which is where that synth is residing. All right, here we go. Oh, I screwed up. Okay, let's start this again. Okay, here we go. This will be my best take. Ready? Oh, man. Okay. But anyway, you get the idea. So this is 3 synchronized loopers. Oh, actually 4 synchronized loopers. We have our master clock source. And we have our poly oscillator. And if I go to admin and then go down to scope, our system load for this entire thing, including that poly oscillator, is 47%. So that's really not that bad. That's actually kind of great. So with this in mind, you could realize some more complex arrangements. I guess the only consideration is you'd have to wait for the loop to loop around for the recording to reset, unless you had an external button to hit gate and start your song. Yeah, so here you go. Sort of pseudo multi-track recording.